There's a rumor of an unexplored 10-kilometer long cave in the Dominican Republic. This country probably has thousands of caves, but it's long been overlooked by cavers.
And this is the sinkhole entrance. Look at this.
We decided to become one of the first groups of cavers to look for and map undiscovered caves in the Dominican Republic.
120.11.
Then can you give me a left?
What we found exceeded our expectations. And we thought this would be the 10-kilometer system, but it surprisingly ended in only 600 feet.
Yeah, I'm surprised you did this out here. Not just you too. It's kind of ballsy.
The entrance is a tight squeeze that opened into an enormous chamber.
Dude, you found this! Holy shit!
7C, 7D, however many you need, and then that's like...
This one was incredibly decorated and a true gem to find.
We're at the Schoharie Preserve in Schoharie, New York. My name's Mike Gerard, and I've been caving for about 25 years. The goal of today is to send the ROV into the ends of Schoharie Cavern, where there is a sump. And that sump was first explored in the 60s by Russell Gurney. Well, the journey, most of it's very easy because there is a lot of just walking path. You just sort of watch your step because there are stones from collapses long ago that are on the floor, and it is flooded. Sometimes it's only your ankles deep. Sometimes it can get almost waist deep, but it's never really that bad. But there are some challenges where you have to climb over some collapses or kind of duck and crawl under, but none of them are that tough that I think that any caver could easily handle. Russell Gurney was the first person to try to do a dive in that sump, and unfortunately didn't go well, but people have continued behind him, pushing it further and further. So there's amazing things to be seen in this wonderful cave that only a few people have seen.
All right, so I'm Bob Ruff, newly librarian of the NSS, and I'm here with Bill Turow, the real librarian of the NSS. So Bill, we talked before about Tumble Rock being your #1 cave, but I'm more interested in talking about Shelta Cave, which was actually your #2 cave that you ever visited.
Yeah, I first visited the cave back in the fall of 1959 when I first started caving. I was still in high school. Anyhow, we started surveying the cave in '66, and we could only survey the land part. We really weren't prepared to any equipment to do it, get into the water. John Cooper was working on his thesis in the cave, the crayfish, and that the cave property came up for sale. And John talked to, he was staying with Walter B. Jones, who's a retired state geologist, and Walter B. was the one that actually said, we've got to buy that cave and save it. So they started, Cooper was an officer in the NSS, and he promoted the NSS to buy the cave, and So they eventually they did.
Neville subsequently married his love of photography with his love of caving. Beginning in the early 1920s, Neville became one of the first amateur cave photographers. He was busy making motion pictures and taking superb still photographs in many of the notable caves in this country. By 1933, he had traveled over 2,000 miles underground through over 175 caves. One thing that made Neville's motion pictures particularly interesting was the fact that no portable electric lights were available. So he had to use magnesium flares, which were very expensive and could be dangerous. The flares were made especially for him. They were 72,000 candle power and burned for approximately 30 seconds. Here's part of the Neville expedition on the Crystal River, 400 feet underground in Crystal Cave. In 1927, Neville led an expedition into the Old Salts Cave. The expedition consisted of 11 cavers. They entered the cave on the morning of July 11 at 11 a.m. They exited the cave the following Wednesday afternoon at 2:15 p.m. The group spent a total of 51 hours and 35 minutes underground, exploring the reaches of the cave.
I'm Bert Ashbrook, and I'm sort of the cartographer and de facto leader for this Sarah Furnace project. So we started in March 2019.
The cave is developed in the 6 to 10 foot thick Vanport limestone and consists primarily of a dense grid of crawlways intersecting cross passages every 6 to 8 feet. There are literally miles of passage under a relatively small surface area. The passages range in size from so low and tight they are barely passable to a more typical size of 2.5 feet high and wide. The largest natural passages found in the cave so far are 4.5 feet tall and are limited to one small area. The floor of the passages is covered by a red-brown clay that may be several feet thick. Intersecting these natural cave passages are some mine-enlarged passages.
From the amount of passage surveyed and that amount of area that the cave underlays, you can calculate a figure which is called passage network density. And that is the basis for our thought that Sarah Furnace Cave may be the maziest cave in the world. We have yet to find a cave that has a higher passage network density than Sarah Furnace Cave.